Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Auto Amateur and Project 996. You guys, this is a really difficult video to make. Not technically, but certainly emotionally and mentally. It's cracked. It's cracked. It's been a roller coaster of a ride for the past few months, as my friends Pat, Steve, and I have been working on this 996 behind us. As you saw from the first couple of minutes of the video, it turned out fantastic. The car's on the road, driving, got the drone out, took some beautiful shots. It was a perfect, beautiful winter's day here in Minnesota. But unfortunately, it isn't all good news. Mother piece of We've had a catastrophic problem with the car, and it almost chokes me up to talk about it, but I've got to own it. I've got to talk about it. I've got a lot of people out there who have been watching this series and are interested in seeing what happens to this project car. But this episode isn't going to be what I hoped it was going to be several months ago when we got to the end of this project. Let's go check it out. So for those of you who've been along since the beginning, and this is now episode 16 or 17, and this has been running for about 6 months. And for those that are new to the channel, or at least new to the series, let's just do a quick recap. This 2002 996 behind us, my friends Pat, Steve, and I purchased for $5,000 from somebody down in the south of the country who had a cracked transmission and was also experiencing some other issues with the car. It was in pretty bad shape. It had been driven, it had 170 something thousand miles on the clock. Like I mentioned, the broken transmission. There was hail damage all over it. One of the headlights was busted and cracked. A whole number of other issues with the car. It had been either well loved or abused, maybe a bit of both over its years. It's now what, 18, 19 years old. It was originally in silver and it arrived on a trailer and it was non-functional. We couldn't start it. Everything underneath with the tranny was cracked. So it really was a true project car. Short of it, coming in two pieces, it was a true project car. So we wanted this challenge for the summer, and it's been loads of fun. And we've had a lot of successes. We've had a couple of setbacks. Unfortunately, we've just recently had a major setback. But we've done so much. I mean, for one, it's no longer silver. It's had a complete body restoration. All of the hail damage fixed. All of the issues with the dings here and there on the bumpers and so on, fixed. And it's no longer silver. It's now essentially barley blue, which was an old discontinued Porsche color. It's a very close match for barley blue. And you would never know that this is a silver car. Not just the exterior, but under the hood, under the engine bay, inside the engine bay, the door jambs, everywhere you could think that this car was originally silver, it's now blue. And it practically looks brand new. We also have a ducktail spoiler on the back. We've done custom orange calipers. We've got new rims. We spent a fair amount of money doing this car up. Now, of course, aesthetics on everything. You need the car to function. And we knew that right from the beginning. And we actually started with the mechanical aspects of the job first. And so we replaced the transmission. We had a transmission off a 996.2 that had about 70 or 80,000 miles on it. It wasn't a brand new transmission, but for $1,500, I think it was, or $1,200, we got this transmission shipped across the country from Pennsylvania, I think it was. Anyway, so the new transmission went in. At the time we inspected the clutch. The clutch looked just fine, a lot of life left in it. We had to replace one of the cylinders. It was I think it was the slave cylinder. Towards the back. Is that the slave or the master? I can't remember which, but whichever one is not by the pedal, we replaced one of those. We've inspected the brakes. The brake pads got a lot of life on them left, so have the rotors, but we custom painted the calipers, brand new rims, brand new tires. We've changed all of the fluids. There are a number of other things that we've been doing. But of course, it was all predicated on the car working. And fixing the transmission and checking all of the other mechanical parts that we did, we figured we were in a good spot. The last thing we did just a couple of days ago when the car came back from the paint shop, the body shop, we installed a short shift kit and we made sure that the cables, the connectors from the transmission to the shifter and the clutch, etc., were in and they were properly corrected. All right, so there's the recap. Mother piece of shit. Happened. A few days ago, Patrick and Steve came over and it was a celebration. You know, we were hoping to get this car on the road. We were hoping to sell it. In fact, we had a couple of people interested in wanting to buy it before we'd even started talking about auctioning it, which was what we were thinking about doing in the new year. But so we got buyers lined up for this. Although we weren't in this to make any money, we were going to, turn a little bit of a profit from selling the car all in. And people have been asking about the budget and the funding, and I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. In fact, Steve, Pat, and I are going to be doing a live Q&A on Sunday, live streaming on YouTube. So feel free to ask whatever questions you want. But we're also going to talk about the budget there because we've got a decision to make basically. But there's the recap. So when Pat and Steve came over the other day, I got out the drone, they got in the car, started up beautifully. We drove it around the neighborhood, didn't take it out too far, let it sit and idle for a while because this car hasn't been driven in a year, apart from getting it on and off the truck and taking it up and down the street once when we got the transmission in a couple of months ago. It really hasn't been driven. So we let it sit, we let it warm up, we let the fluids get everywhere, we checked all the fluids, everything should have been A-okay. Pat and Steve took it out for a drive. They went up and down around the block once or twice and then came back. No issues. It drove wonderfully. At least Pat and Steve can attest to that. So that was a Friday. I think it was a Friday night. Along comes the weekend and I decided to take it out and get some footage. In fact, the footage that you saw at the beginning of this video. Well, it was a 10-mile round trip to the place I go, this one particular place to take drone photography. It's out of the way, there's no one around, no cars, no traffic, etc. Driving there, it felt like a brand new 996. Just incredible. The clutch was smooth. The short shift kit felt fantastic. The sound of those Fister mufflers on the back of that flat six engine. Fister mufflers on the back of that flat six engine sounded phenomenal. I was in heaven. It was fantastic. So I got to the area, I parked up, I took a load of stationary shots, I drove up and down this one stretch a couple of times, getting the drone out, did some acceleration. The car was perfect. It was absolutely phenomenal. It took me about an hour to get all the shots that I wanted, and then I had to head back. On the 5-mile stretch of road on the way home, as with many, journeys, you got to start and stop and traffic lights and so on. First gear stopped connecting. And so I had to leave a stationary position once or twice in second gear by increasing the revs. Third gear stopped working. Fifth gear stopped working. And I was about a mile away from home. And at this point I thought, maybe I should stop and get towed the rest of the way. Maybe the cables are coming loose on the short shift kit. It doesn't sound like a mechanical problem. The engine sounded fine. The exhaust sounded fine. And apart from the fact that the gear wasn't just quite going in and catching into first, third, and fifth in the top positions, the forward positions, the car was driving fine. It had no problem getting up to speed. The brakes were still working. So I thought, I've got a mile to go. It's probably just something with the clutch and the short shift kit that we installed. Let's just get it home. Well, I managed to get it home basically in second and fourth, the whole way for that extra mile. Got it onto the driveway. At that point, second gear stopped working. So I was in fourth gear and I had to try and get around and up the drive. And I was going to try and get it into the garage bay. But in fourth gear, doing maneuvers like that, of course, the engine stalled as I started to slow down. So Pat and I ended up having to push it in and onto the ramp. Disaster. Disaster has happened, basically. Pat came over, sat in the car, tried to crank it, and all we heard was this almighty thud. And to cut a long story short, the transmission is broken again in exactly the same place. The bell housing is cracked. What's worse is that there is an oil leak. And under further inspection underneath the car, we can see that the housing at the base of the engine has cracked. It's cracked. It's cracked. I don't know what to say. I spent the past couple of days feeling really shitty. And thinking, like, what could we have done differently? What's caused this problem? We still don't know. So anyway, this is going to be the focus of a conversation we're having on Sunday. If you're interested in joining in, please join Pat, Steve, and I. We're going to be live on YouTube, and we're going to be talking about the car and what our options are. But essentially, it boils down to this. Right now, we could sell the car as a roller or a junker for somebody that wanted to put a new transmission and engine in, and we'd break even. We wouldn't have lost any money on the job. And I know that sounds strange considering we've spent so much money on doing it up, but considering the purchase price was only $5 and we've put about the same, just a little bit more into the car, junkers that are crashed on the road are selling for 10, 11, 12 grand. So option one would just be to cut and run right now, try and sell it on and just recover as much of some money as possible. Option two is to keep going and to try and find a transmission and an engine for this car that isn't going to break the bank, and chances are we'll only break even when we fix it and sell it. Or maybe there's a third option out there that we're not thinking of. It's Christmas. Santa might come along and drop a 996 engine in our lap. I don't know. But this is, like I say, this is not the video I was hoping to make. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to face failure. I know I've done it before, the airbag scenario. If you ever watched that 997 video, I got frustrated late at night and stabbed my airbag in a moment of frustration because I couldn't get it out and change my steering wheel. And I've learned patience since then. In fact, if you look over into my garage, in the corner there is the front of the airbag that I stabbed off all that time ago to remind me about patience. And we have been super patient with this car, and we have tried our hardest, and we have researched the crap out of this. This isn't just sort of three cowboys flying by the seat of their pants, at least not in Steve and Pat's case. Every job we've researched. We've looked online at the forums, we've looked at the mechanical guides, the service guides, we've spoken with the pros that do this stuff. Jobs that we haven't been comfortable doing ourselves, that seem too complicated, we've farmed out. I'm sure there are loads of different things that we could explore and talk about, and we could go on and on and on. But for now, this has been my Project 996 reveal video with a cruel, cruel twist of fate. And now I've got to figure out where we go from here. But believe me, guys, this is not the video I wanted to make. Anyway, thank you all for your help and your support throughout this entire project. It has been a load of fun, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to it yet. Driving this car the other day was such a thrill, such a great experience. Took me back to the first 911 I ever owned, that 996 Carrera 4. And it was magic. And I want to get that back because I want this to be on the road, and this car deserves to be driven, and it deserves to be owned by someone who wants the 911 experience. And if that's not going to be me, it's going to be someone. And I want to get this car on the road. So yes, it means more Project 996 work and more Project 996 videos, but is it time to drink yet? It is. I'm English and Irish and Scottish. I can drink anytime I like. Peace out. See you in the next video. Take care. And Sunday, YouTube Live. I'll put some announcements on YouTube and on Instagram so you know the time. It should be scheduled already on my channel. Keep the faith. Love. Thank you very much. Bye.